licensing subcommittee meeting. If I could just move to the agenda. The first item is declarations of interest and transparency statements. Does anyone have any that they wish to make at this time? I'm not seeing anybody indicating. So if we could move to the business being discussed today. Mrs. Johnson, would you like to introduce it to the committee, please?
Thank you, Convener. Before you is a request to consider if registered landlord Stephen Geddes is a fit and proper person to be registered as a landlord in relation to property management and condition. Came to the attention of the private sector housing team that various repairs were required at 56 Hazelhead Gardens. After the current tenant applied to the first tier tribunal, the tribunal made a repairing standard enforcement order in December 2024, requiring the landlord to carry out works to the property within a period of 4 weeks. The tribunal re-inspected the property in February 2025. Some works have been completed, however, works remained outstanding. These are detailed in the information note. The landlord was contacted by the private sector housing team in April this year regarding the outstanding items and asked to confirm dates when the works were scheduled for. And the landlord was requested to respond by the 2nd of May, and we've not received anything from the landlord to date.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Members, do we have questions here? Mrs. Johnson, could you perhaps confirm to us if you're aware, either through any correspondence you might have had with the tenant, whether any further works have been carried out on the property?
And we've got no confirmation if the further works have been carried out.
Okay. Okay, members, we obviously have before us the paperwork. Would anybody like to move anything? I believe that obviously the landlord isn't here to speak to his case. Councillor Henrickson.
Thank you, Convener. I would be putting forward that we remove his licence as he's not unfit and proper person due to the lack of care. Certainly not having fire smoke detectors in the building is to me is when it's compulsory for everybody to have that, I think is outrageous. So I'll just leave it at that. So
okay. Do you have a seconder, Councillor Henrickson, or is anyone wishing to move anything else? Councillor MacLeod.
Yeah, I'm happy to second that.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say, the only thing I would ask, Convener, is if we do revoke this landlord's license, what are the rights of the tenant in this? Do we have any idea?
Mrs. Johnson, are you able to provide any clarity to Councillor MacLeod?
Thank you, Convener. The tenant will be able to go to the council's homelessness services, or alternatively look for other accommodation in the private sector.
Yeah, so it's in effect they'll have to vacate the property is what I'm asking. Yeah. Okay. Whether the tenant's happy about that, I'm not so sure, but although the conditions that she's living in are fairly unacceptable, so maybe she is happy. But I think, where I'm coming from is that, she maybe hasn't got anywhere else to go. But thanks for that.
It's my understanding, Jocelyn, you might be able to confirm that the landlord's actually submitted an eviction notice. Is that right anyway?
They have, yes.
Okay, members, I'm not planning to move anything contrary to what Councillor Henrickson has moved. I would be saying that as part of the registration that the landlord has contravened the law relating to housing and landlord and tenant law. So with that, I would say that the landlord license should be revoked.
Can I just clarify then, Convener, just for the minutes, that it's been revoked because the committee determined that the landlord is no longer a fit and proper person, taking account of the contravention of housing or landlord and tenant law?
That's correct, Mr. Munro.
Thanks.
Okay. And that concludes our meeting, members. Thank you very much for attending. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,